Honey, baby, if you didn't know something was wrong with R. Kelly before, child, you ought to know for sure now. I am your girl, Talisa Ray. What's up? How you doing, Ray of Sunshine? Let's just go ahead and talk about Surviving R. Kelly, episodes 1 and 2, The Pied Piper, and Hiding in Plain Sight. I'm not feeling well, but I felt like we needed to talk about this. I got on my PJs, because, baby, when I first started watching this, I thought to myself, so it's called Surviving R. Kelly. Why are you guys trying to humanize him with his backstory? I know it's important to know the backstory, but honestly, it made you sympathize with him, if not empathize, if you had experienced or know anyone who's experienced this. So for starters, let me just say this. We know that he is a genius, that his creative side, the left side of his brain, works very well. We have definitely found out that he is on the spectrum. Honey, he can't read or write. Couldn't then, probably still can't now, or can do very little. He might be like Freeway Ricky Ross and only knew how to read his name, learn how to read in prison. And maybe that's what Ara needs to do, go to prison to learn how to read. I ain't got no sympathy for him at all. I mean, for 5 seconds I did. I felt bad for him, struggling, not being able to know how to read and write, coming up in the projects. I mean, listen, that's a lot of people's stories, but they not predators. And then that we were reminded, if we had forgotten, we were reminded of R. Kelly's interview where he stated he had been molested from the ages of 7 to 13 or 14. Now listen, every part of me as a parent, I'm having lighting issues today, y'all. Okay, here we go. Maybe that's better. Every part of me as a parent still wants to protect young people when it comes to them being victimized, abused, molested, mistreated. And little R. Kelly and his brother Kerry, I wanted to just protect, because that was really the start of how he became this monster. Let me back up. We were introduced to his brothers, the older one and the younger one. And honestly, we could see where there were issues. He doesn't look like them. I think he looks a lot like his mother from the photos that we saw. But they were on the road with him, seems like, quite often. And they still look the way they look, like bums. Like you got on a shirt from the swap meet, younger brother, and you did whatever you did and ended up in prison. What did the older brother do? I can't even remember his name. But he rubbed me the wrong way. Like all his interview, every time they talked to him about R. Kelly, it rubbed me the wrong way. He did what he was supposed to do and to protect his brother, his younger brother, but just something about him just is uncomfortable to me. So I didn't hold much stock in what he was saying. Nevertheless, when R. Kelly, the producers had asked Kerry about R. Kelly's molestation allegations, and Kerry had stated, you know, I could see it being true because at 6 I was molested. Okay, I went to my brother, my older brother Robert, and told him, and he pretty much dismissed him and said, "No, that can't be true. No, that's not right." And I thought to myself, so R. Kelly, were you really a victim of molestation? And here's why I say that. There is no way that I would have been molested and my younger brother could have come to me and said any of that and I not empathize with him. I not get angry. You know what I'm saying? Like, I not want to protect him. I don't want to, you know, even if it's likely that the two of them were molested by the same person, which is highly likely, is highly probable, they were raised in the same household. You know, even if that's the case, I still would want to protect my younger brother. You know what I'm saying? I would still want to shield him, do what I could do, whether that be offer myself up, because that's what most kids do. They don't know what else to do, especially if you think your parents won't believe you. And that's what Carrie said, because it was somebody close to home. And honestly, it's something that has been happening in the black community for quite some time. It's always been shoved under the rug, swept under the rug. Don't tell nobody. Oh, it's not true. Why are you lying? Because it's either been someone close to the family, a father, a stepfather, a cousin, an uncle, or someone in the church, a pastor, a deacon, somebody you trusted. It's always been someone you trusted. And the more you talk to men, the more you realize that a lot of black men have been touched inappropriately. Not necessarily by men, but by women too. You know, and a lot by women. When you hear a man, when you ask a man, when did you lose your virginity? And they tell you 11 or 12, ask them by who? And they'll say something like, oh, my sister's older friend, or my cousin, or my babysitter, or my mama's friend. And they don't really see it as molestation, because you know, they got excited and they were, you know what I'm saying? But it's what it is. Let somebody touch Kingston, okay? It's really what it is. I also was like, oh, they gonna pull out all the stops. Honey, when they brought out Javante Cummings, she was a background singer, and she said that they met, you know, because a friend had said he was looking for background singers and blase, and she was 14. She's, you know, I was glad to hear he had not tried anything with her, but I'm sure he tried to control her because, of course, she was younger. And the theme is that he's very controlling. And she was exposed to things that she should not have been at such a young age. She saw things that should not have been happening in front of her. She had brought a friend to the fucking studio, and he was fucking the friend in front of everybody in the main, you know, on the main stage. Like, how he ain't got no diseases? How he ain't, you know what I'm saying? Like, no serious diseases. Like, how is it that he, because he fucking with these young girls that ain't got shit? Child, my heart. They introduced us to his music producer, who was his music producer for, or had known him for 30 years. He said he was his music producer, had knew him for 30 years. So I'm saying, as he was talking, and he was saying how he felt like a lot of the things he was doing wasn't right. Like, for example, in his studio, there was a bed in the middle of the studio. There were bedrooms, and one time he went in and there was a woman in each room, like laying half naked, young, looked very young and impressionable, you know, underage. And how he went to a party, and he was invited to a party at his house, and there were women everywhere, and he had one that was naked standing next to him, and she was naked and he was rubbing on her booty. Like, here's the thing. If you feel like it's wrong, then why aren't you saying anything or doing anything about it? Why aren't you calling him on his shit? Because he's a star? Because he's musically genius? Y'all know a genius is a hairline from insanity. So you know he fucking crazy. Like, why aren't you doing the things that you would do? Do you have any daughters? Like, that's how I thought when I looked at the music producer. I want to say his name was Michael. I have it written down, but I don't want to look. Furthermore, when they introduced us to, what's his face? Demetrius Smith. That fucking pervert. He's a pervert. He gives me the heebie-jeebie creeps when I'm looking at him. It's something about him that said that he was with all of that, because he was the tour manager and his personal assistant, which meant he was very close to R. Kelly all the time. So he saw what was going on. He saw the young girls. You know what I'm saying? He saw the type of, the affinity he had for these young girls. And when that brother said, well, I don't understand what the problem is. He liked younger women. I like older women. You know what? That is a sentiment of a lot of people. At least that was in the beginning. And here's why I'm going to go ahead and rationalize with y'all. I'm going to play the devil's advocate as to when he was younger, like in his early 20s, why people would just sweep it under the rug. Because in our community, it is known that a younger girl likes older men and vice versa. Me as a prime example, I was 16, turning 17, had a boyfriend that was 24. He was turning 25. I only found out because he was a friend of my good girlfriend's sister. They went to high school together. So that's how I knew, or how I found out that he had been lying to me. But I still dated him. furthermore, every man I've ever dated, just about, until, you know, here recently, as I've matured and I'm in the young cubs. And no, not like babies. They gotta be like in their 30s, late 30s. Thanks. I've always dated men that were older than me. Always, you know, anywhere from 7 to 10 years older than me. As I get older, of course, I lessen. Like, I'm 42, so I think the oldest guy I would probably date would be probably 50, and that's pushing it. If they a young 50. But when I was in my 20s, I dated a 27-year-old. You know, I dated when 25, they were 30. So, and if you know anything about our community, you know your grandparents got married young. Like, my grandfather was in the Army. He went AWOL for my grandmother, who was probably 16 or 17 years old, and they got married. My mother, her and my dad are 10 years apart. So it's common for someone to date someone younger, a man to date someone younger than them. It's common. But there is a line drawn in the sand. You know that a 14, 15, 16-year-old and a fucking 28-year-old, a 30-year-old is not right. Especially if he has an affinity for these type of women. Later on, when Lisa comes in, she says she just thought he liked her and that wasn't his thing. Okay? Hello, somebody. That old fucking Demetrius. Let's talk about Demetrius again. When he said that he asked him if him and Aaliyah had been screwing around, or if he was messing with Aaliyah, and he said no, and he believed him, he's fucking lying. He's lying. As his tour manager and his personal assistant, he knows the type of women that he likes. That's why he asked in the first place. And he also asked because he saw something that was not appropriate and did not sit well with him. Even though he's a nasty fuck. Y'all, I don't feel good. So y'all gotta excuse me. Trying to make sure no snot coming down my face. So I'm all like, you a lie when you say you didn't know that they was fucking, or you wasn't sure, you believe what he told you. You a lie, Demetrius, and when he gets convicted, you need to be convicted too. When they throw him under the bus, you need to get thrown under the bus with him and get ran over white riding, because you was there and you knew exactly what the fuck was going on. And the only reason you saying something now is because you aren't his tour manager anymore. You would have still been sitting there, as well as Michael. You still would have been under the hush-hush, okay? And I'm going to give Javante a pass because she was young. You know what I'm saying? It was what she knew. He pretty much controlled her, which seemed to be a theme with the women. So I'm going to give her a pass because she was a young woman. But these men, they were older than him. They knew better than he did. They knew that what he was doing was wrong, especially looking at the 14, 15-year-old girls. Like, I was too through. We were also introduced to Lizette, who he met in the mall at 7. She was 17. And Lizette said she knew it wasn't going to be, she wanted to deal with him because he was R. Kelly and she wanted a music career, and she knew that he could take her to the place that she wanted to. But she knew that night when he leaned over to kiss her that it wasn't going to be what she thought it was going to be, and she just went ahead with it, which is common. You think about his notoriety and his fame. He's R. Kelly and he likes me. You know what I'm saying? Like, I could see how it could happen. Lizette, this is when we found out that he was a sick fuck. When he would just make her stay and wait for hours or days in the hotel until he came back just so he could fuck her. She said it was just like I was his sex slave. Just be here waiting and ready for me. Don't go nowhere. I got people watching you. He was very much controlling. Very much manipulative. When he said, call me daddy, you know, at first you think, oh, that's cute. Like, you ain't gonna tell me when to call you daddy. Because, listen, daddy is supposed to be like a term, a sensual term of endearment. Like, I'm giving you the control. But he was taking the control. He was taking it from them and making them do what he wanted them to do. When she couldn't talk to other people, And then we were introduced to Andrea, and she was like, he got married, and I didn't know he was married, but I just went ahead and went with it. When I found out, I was like, whatever. And the only reason I left him alone was because I had got mononucleosis. It turned into that other shit where I could have died, and I was in ICU, and he gave my mama $1,000, and that was it. Which brings me back to motherfucking Aaliyah, when y'all remember when we found out that they had gotten married, and that fucking Demetrius just admitted to being the one to forge the birth certificate to say that she was 18. And when it was annulled a couple months later, when the parents found out, he gave her $100 not to do any legal things, to stop her from taking any legal action. Okay, so here's my thing. Let me talk about that because I missed it. You giving me money not to do legal action, which means Aaliyah knew what you were doing was not right. She was uncomfortable. If you had to tell her not to take legal action, it wasn't because you was in love with her or she was in love with you. You might have been in love with her, but she wasn't in love with you. So you had to hush her up, because if she was in love, she would have just been like, I'm sorry, we can't be together, but I ain't going, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, the fuck. Like, the fuck, okay? Back to Lizette. So she was saying how she didn't know that he had gotten married. She found out because her girlfriend told her, because it was all in the media. Her best friend told her it was all in the media. So here's where we were introduced into Miss Andrea Lee. Andrea Kelly, surname Lee. I would have fucking dropped that name like a bad habit when I left his ass, especially after hearing what she had gone through. You know, it was speculation, but for her to say shit out of her mouth, I would not have been a Kelly. My name would have been back to my maiden name, Lee. Like, but I guess notoriety and the celebrity of it all, you know, that's how she's getting to get gigs and stuff, I suppose. Listen, the way he degraded and demeaned her, the way he made her feel as a woman less than, the way she said that he was very charismatic and very vulnerable, and, you know, opened up when the mom died and wanted her to teach him how to read. Nigga still couldn't read, and he was in his 30s and she was 19. Like, that's when she fell in love with that charismatic part of him. A brother was like, I didn't think that they would be together because she wasn't his type. What was his type? Young. Look at the women. They were young. They were young. Okay? Andrea was 19, so she was of legal age that she could marry him, and she probably was a little more experienced. You know what I'm saying? Very sensual, very sexy. I'm sure she regrets ever going into that audition and getting the job. Nevertheless, when she said that he did lock her in the closet, lock her away like claims had said, my heart broke. It was shattered. When you heard the women talk about how their parents would call and they could never get in contact with them, my heart broke. Because he had changed their phone numbers and shit because he wanted to control them. He wanted to have dominion over them. There was no way. You understand me? Like, they were young. Like, okay, as adults, we're looking at this going, there's no way that you're going to have me. You're going to control me. But that's us as an adult. You know what I'm saying? That's us knowing who we are as women who have experienced some shit, who know what's right, who know what not to do. We talking about young girls that didn't know shit. So when I hear, like, Sparkle say, oh, ain't no way that he would have had me knocking on the door to see if I can come down. Sparkle, you older than Andrea. Andrea met him when she was still very impressionable. When she was head over heels for him. When she didn't have a real grasp on who she was as a woman. Okay, because as much as we want to pretend like at 19 and we got it going on, we really don't know who the fuck we are until we about 25. We really start to get a grasp and know what it is that we like and where we headed in life and what we want. We got an idea of what we want to be and who we think we are, but it is not developed until we're in our 20s. You guys can argue with me about it, but do it down below in the comments. I'm just saying. So when Sparkle was looking at her sideways, I was like, well, you know, I guess that's because, of course, I I'm a grown-up, and I'm looking at this from rational eyes. When Sparkle was in her 20s is when this was happening, so I'm sure that in my 20s, I probably would have been like, ain't no fucking way he gonna have me knocking on my door, and my husband talking, can I come down to eat? So I could see where that might have happened. But here's where things start getting different, okay? We met Lisa Van Allen. Lisa Van Allen, he met her when he was 17 on the Keith Murray music video. Wanted to talk to her same day, took her to the fucking trailer, kept her in the trailer, and in between sets he'd come have her perform sexual acts or you know, oral sex, etc. She's 17, so she probably lost her virginity, you know, a year before or whatever. No, wait, one of them said it was their first sex. Oh, that was Lizette that said it was her first time. It was her first sexual act was with R. Kelly, and she said it was just sex. Like, there was no passion. Like, it was just fucking. Like, she was just a sex slave. Lay here, fuck. Like, he had a ring of sex slaves. Like, he should have been in the sex trafficking industry. You know what I'm saying? Like, child. Nonetheless, Lisa said she met him. He said, call me. She waited about a month, and then she called him. Okay? First and foremost, Lisa knew what she had going on wasn't right, so she should have never called. But he was fucking R. Kelly. Y'all, he was R. Kelly. He was the man. Like, that's my boyfriend. He liked me. That's exactly what she said. Like, I totally understood what she said when she said, I felt like, yes, I was young. He was 30 and I was 17, but I felt like he liked me. It wasn't because I was a young girl. Like, I was the exception. Like, he liked me. I was cute. He enjoyed being around me. My sex was good at 17. That's pretty much what she was saying. Because, I mean, you didn't have no conversations with him. You didn't have, you know, she was like, I felt like it was wrong and it was too soon, but I did it anyway. I didn't want him not to like me. That is exactly what the fuck you think in the back of your mind when you don't have no fucking clue. I don't want him not to like me, so I'm going to go ahead and do it. Anyway, at the same time, Sparkle starts talking about her career, talking about, though R. Kelly did not run her, he was very controlling, knew exactly how he wanted things to go. Where a song was supposed to be a solo, it ended up becoming a duet with him. And the video and the whole 9 yards with the concept of everything came from his creative mind. Well, here's where it gets real fucking, oh my God. She talks about introducing him to her 12-year-old niece because she was a beast as it related to music. She was a rapper and she was like the Bow Wow, female Bow Wow. Like, she was popping, she was on. Well, as we continue on, Lisa says she kept going to see him and that she ended up staying down there. Longer story short, they had started having threesomes, okay, in the Space Jam room, all kind of shit. Just, it was crazy. They started having threesomes. He said that the girl was 16. So at this point, I'm sure Lisa's probably 18, 19 tops. Maybe she might have been 17. She don't tell us how old she was. I wish she had. Anybody know? Let me know down below in the comments. But she was young still. So 16, you know, she probably was like, okay. Honey, come to find out that was the niece. And the girl was only 14. And the little girl seemed to be with it. Like she said, she knew what she was doing. And Lisa was like, I was crying. But is this Lisa trying to get her way out? But I mean, like, they're all fucking victims. I can't even fathom what was going through their minds. Like, they were all fucking victims. And when she found out that she was only 14, aren't you 16 already? And she was like, no, I'm 14. I'm 15 or whatever the fuck it was. Devastated. Sparkle devastated because she introduced R. Kelly to her niece. You know what I'm saying? And here's my issue with everybody who was around him. Everybody who was around him that was of age, they just let him do whatever. Nobody called him on this shit because he was R. Kelly. Nobody said to him, this isn't right. She's too young. Why don't you look at this 20-year-old that looks like she's 17? Like, what is wrong with you? Nobody called him on this shit. Nobody that he did collaborations with. Because I'm going to be honest. If you on tour with Jay-Z, remember he was on that tour, what's that, Best of Both Worlds album? When they were on tour and they fell out, Let me tell you something. He had them young bitches there, but see, Jay-Z had an affinity for Beyonce, who's 10 years his junior, but he did wait for her to become an adult. I'm going to give him credit. So, I mean, nobody saw nothing on Keith Murray, the people there, the producers there, the security there. Nobody said nothing and thought it was nothing. I'm sure they did. They just didn't say anything. Like, we have always been a society of mind your own business. Some stuff we can't mind our own business. I want you to think about, fellas, if that's your daughter, if that's your sister, you know, your cousin, your niece. I can't imagine R. Kelly being attracted to my nieces. I mean, I can because they're gorgeous. I would be sick to my stomach like, oh, okay, he R. Kelly, but he old. Baby, he old. He ain't got nothing for you. He can't do nothing for you. You beautiful. If he like you, somebody else will too. I don't give a fuck who he is. I'm just saying, and that's just my thought processes on it. I'm going to go backtrack one more time. We've been talking a long time. I'm sorry. I'm going to backtrack one more thing. Any speculation about him fucking Aaliyah is out the window when Javante told us, okay? When she said to us, the door swang open and he was having sex with her inappropriately with Aaliyah. We all knew then it was too much. But nobody stopped anything. Nobody stopped his behavior. Yeah, she said it broke up the family, but okay. But he still was fucking young girls. Nobody reported him in. Like, I think the straw that broke the camel's back was, number one, Aaliyah, but we forgave him for that. The second time with that 14-year-old with the video. I am your girl, Talisa Ray. Thank you so much for watching my review of Surviving R. Kelly. Do not forget, before getting out of here, let me know what you thought about this episode. What things you disagree with me about. Let me know down below in the comments, because maybe you have a fresh perspective, a different perspective. You can open my eyes and let me see something that I missed, okay? Give this video a thumbs up before you head out of here. And if you're new, that subscribe button and that notification bell is your best friend. Hugs and kisses and lots of love. I'll see you on the next video.